logistics, but it's all going well. We spent the last 7 hours rehearsing this material. We ran every song 47 times. We counted it, and we had a little thing where we kept track of each time that we ran it and just honed and fine-tuned. And I think we're just on the verge of being ready to play it. So we'll get to it here in a moment. Don't know if anybody's listening, but, you know, you never do with streaming.
That's true.
You know?
That's right.
So there could be somebody in Czechoslovakia watching us right now or not. So I always keep that in mind. So don't say anything. Don't do any of your usual Czechoslovakia jokes because they might be offended.
No.
Yeah. I know you usually have that whole routine you do, you know, but don't do that. No, yeah, the whole thing.
The dog.
Yeah.
The dog and the pizza.
Yeah, just you know, because you don't know who's.
And the
Yeah,
kimchi.
yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, let's just keep it low key. No, but we're honored to have anybody who's tuned in, and we're looking forward to playing for you. Randy Porter. Randy Porter, here he is. Ooh, I should get out my brushes, because I'm going to use them. For you drum students watching.
Oh, right. So,
All right.
All right. Should I announce something? Okay, so this is the Rebecca Kilgore, Dave Tull, Randy Porter, and Tom Wakeling Quartet streaming live from Heavy Woods Studio in Lake Oswego. We're excited to be here, and we're going to start playing music right now.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worries on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can you hear that pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. I used to walk in the shade with those blues on parade, but now I'm not afraid. This rover crossed over. If I never had a cent, I'd be rich as Rockefeller. Gold dust at my feet on the sunny side of the street. Grab your coat, don't forget your hat. Leave your worries on the doorstep. Life can be oh so sweet on the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear that little pat? The happy tune is your step. Life's so sweet on the sunny side of the street. Used to walk in the shade with my blues on parade. I'm not afraid that rover crossed over. If I never had 1 cent, I'd be rich as Rockefeller. Gold dust at my feet on the sunny side of the street. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da. Grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worries on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear that pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. Used to walk in the shade with the blues on parade. Now I'm not afraid, 'cause this rover crossed over. If I never had a cent, I'd be rich as Rockefeller. Gold dust round my feet on the sunny side. Talking about the sunny side, on the sunny side, the sunny side of the street. Yeah. Would you like to start the next song?
Sure. Give me 1 second. You go ahead, you start. I'll be right back.
Okay, this is a song called Don't Be That Way, written by Benny Goodman and Mitchell Parrish. Don't cry, oh honey, please don't be that way. Clouds in the sky should never make you feel that way. The rain will bring the violets of May. Tears are in vain, so honey, please don't be that way. As long as we see it through. Don't you cry, oh honey, please don't be that way. Clouds in the sky should never make you feel that way. The rain will bring the violets of May. Tears are in vain, so honey, please don't you be that way. As long as we see it through, you'll have me and I'll have you. Sweetheart, sweetheart, tomorrow is another day. Don't you break my heart. Oh, honey, please don't be that way. don't cry. Oh, honey, please don't be that way. Clouds in the sky should never make you feel that way. The rain will bring the violets in May. Tears are in vain. Oh, honey, please don't be that way. As long as we see it through, you'll have me and I'll have you, sweetheart. Tomorrow is another day. Don't break my heart. Oh, honey, please don't be that way. Please don't be that way. Please don't be that way. Don't be that way.
I hope it's all working. I'm gonna check one more time. Cindy, if you can every once in a while check to make sure this works. I'm gonna check, make sure. How many guarantee that this works?
Double checking.
All right, we're good. What's up? Good. I mean, I'm seeing it on my screen.
Gentlemen. Well, we're going to do a song now from Oscar Hammerstein and Richard Rodgers, 1947, and it's called "The Gentleman is a Dope." Of course, it doesn't describe anyone I know, but maybe you know someone like this. The gentleman is a dope, a man of many faults, a clumsy Joe who wouldn't know a rumba from a waltz. Gentleman is a dope and not my cup of tea. Gentleman isn't bright, he doesn't know the score. A cake will come, he'll take a crumb and never ask for more. The gentleman's eyes are blue, but little do they see. Why am I beating my brains out as if he belonged to me? He's somebody else's problem. She's welcome to the guy. She'll never understand him half as well as I. The gentleman is a dope. He isn't very smart. He's just a lug you'd love to hug and hold against your heart. The gentleman doesn't know how happy he could be. Look at me crying my eyes out as if he belonged to me. else's problem. She's welcome to the guy. She'll never understand him half as well as I. The gentleman is a dope. He isn't very smart. He is just a log you'd love to hug and hold against your heart. The gentleman doesn't know how happy he could be. Look at me crying my eyes out. He doesn't belong to me. No, he'll never belong to me. Wow. Well, that was fun. I knew I should have brought cough syrup with me, but let's see. No, I'm not going to do that because I'm taking too much time. So that was.
Turn it over.
Skip this?
Yep. Yeah. So three of us are local here. That's Randy Porter on piano. This is his piano and his. And his studio, and so, and and Tom Wakeling's. Yeah, there your camera.
He's my bass player.
Tom Wakeling just lives a little ways away across the river.
Across the river, up the river.
Through the woods. And I live in Northeast Portland.
Whereabouts in Northeast Portland?
Well, you know, our guest from out of town is the great Dave Tull, and when I say that he's from Pasadena, he always says, "No, it's South Pasadena."
South Pasadena, that's right.
So that's why I said I live in Northeast Portland.
Right.
That's a city unto itself.
Well, in South Pass, you know, we've got our own fire department and everything, so
Do you have your own zip code?
we can't. Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah. Randy's making some adjustments here.
Circus stunts.
Well, I can take a second and just tell you that it's a thrill to be up here in Portland. I love coming up. It's a short, 978 miles or something like that?
Yeah.
Give or take half a mile. But it's worth it always to come up here and play with Randy, who's currently standing on his piano bench. In any case, the talent of these three individuals makes it all worth coming up. And we played not last night at the 1905. We're playing tomorrow night at the 1905 at 6 o'clock. So if you hear this and you're in the Portland area and you're thinking, we need to hear more of this, then come on up. Anyway, we're going to do a tune off of my first CD.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here's Dave Tull on drums.
Oh, yeah.
And compositions and voice and.
I got ahead of my announcer.
That's
I was just filling, you know.
Thank you.
Okay, well, take it away.
Thank you, dear. I'm going to do a couple of my tunes, and we'll let Becky go and get some cough syrup. And anyway, here's a tune off of my first CD, and the CD is called "I Just Want to Get Paid," but this tune is on there, and it's a story of how incredibly rich people really don't understand what the blues are, and so it's called "Every Other Day I Have the Blues," and we're just going to jump right into it. I got so much money, more than you will ever see. But that don't mean I ain't got troubles always following me. You know it's hard to get by when you've got so much to lose. I ain't crying every day, but every other day I have the blues. One day I heard Joe Williams singing how he's always feeling blue. I pulled my Porsche off the road and shouted, brother, I'm with you. Although we live very different lives, you know we've all got to pay our dues. Yes, we do. I ain't down as much as Joe was, but every other day I have the blues. Let me tell you about this one. Well, on Monday I found out my butler's asking for a raise. And Wednesday I got drunk and broke a $1,000 vase. My chef was sick on Friday and he never did appear. I had to cook for myself, and that's the second time this year. You see, my life is no pleasure cruise, 'cause every other day I got the blues. Yeah, there's more. Well, on Monday I found out, wait, I just said the same thing about him. And Tuesday I played tennis, got a blister on my hand. I play the horses Thursdays and I always lose my share. But like Joe Williams said, nobody ever seems to care. You wouldn't want to walk a mile in my shoes. No, 'cause every other day, everybody go, Tom Wakely, tell me about that. Yes, every other day, I truly have the blues. Some days, I get so annoyed, I just have to hang my head and cry. Take, for example, the day the freight elevator in my mansion was out of order. Well, my afternoon nap was completely ruined by the sound of the servants clattering up and down the stairs. Then, there was a day I left my Ferrari parked across the property at the stables. So the valet brings it back to me. I get down to the athletic club for lunch, and the maitre d' has given away my favorite table. Then today I hear from my pilot. He says my jet can't fly this weekend because it needs engine maintenance. Well, there goes my trip to Banff. I know. I could fly first class on American or something, but I can't stand those commercial airlines. Now what would Joe say I should do about feeling blue half the time? Guess I could pack my suitcase up and just move halfway down the line. But then I'd miss my giant house with its panoramic views. Oh, I guess I'll always wonder why 3 days a week I've got to cry. But I'll just let my life roll by, and every other day I'll have the blues. Yes, it's time to let those teardrops fly, 'cause every other day I got the blues. That was so filled with angst. It almost makes me forget that I'm not one of those rich people. It's so funny. I have to say that it occurred to me in the middle of that solo time, in the middle of that song that, the streaming thing, we've all done it because of the pandemic. And, of course, I hope that the next time I come up to Portland, we can do this in person and have the students and the audience right in front of us. It's always a little disconcerting for a performer to not have that feedback with the audience. But I bet bass players like it because everybody gets to hear the first 4 bars of your solo for the first time ever.
That's true. Well, and there's nobody.
Right, people aren't clapping, for the piano, and then it's like your first 2 bars are always just kind of like waiting for.
Play my best stuff.
Waiting for the applause to go away. Anyway, that just occurred to me in the middle of that song. You see how my brain works. Speaking of that, we're going to do one more tune off of one of my records. I have 2 CDs out. The first one is the I Just Want to Get Paid CD. And then the second one that came out in 2018 is called Texting and Driving. And because we have presumably an audience of students, relatively young people, we're going to do the title track from that. It's called The Texting Song, and it has a lot of lyrics, so hang on. Tom, you get to start this off. I started texting and forgot that I was steering. I jumped the curb before I noticed I was veering. But I'm due to tweet and I got something to say. So if you're crossing the street, you best get out of the way. No need to stand there looking so perplexed. I just gotta send a text. If I was looking, I would see your eyes are rolling. But you should know this isn't something I'm controlling. When I hear that tone, the knee-jerk action is clean. My hands reach for the phone, my eyes jump to the screen. Every muscle action is reflex. I just gotta send a text. I'm driving 50 miles per hour, looking down at my hands, trying to reply to something somebody said. I guess I ran the wrong direction to a one-way intersection, but how was I supposed to know the light was red? I know I ought to pay attention to my driving, but another instant message is arriving. When my iPhone beckons, I just gotta reply. I can't wait 10 seconds, though I'll probably die. In the auto wreck that happens next, I just gotta send a text. I just can't imagine doing anything at all without a phone in my hand. How could anybody try to deal with something so completely absurd? Cause every single second of the day I live in wild anticipation of my ultra cool ringtone. It's 7 random bars of music from my favorite band, always loud and distorted. And how could I go on if I could never post another shot of food that I was just about to consume? For I believe my 7 followers on Instagram would like to see a photo of my every meal. Cause everybody wants to know what's going on with me in my radical life. You seem annoyed that throughout our conversation I've been texting and I've done a little Skyping. It may seem rude of me to text while you talk, but it's okay because I'm listening to you even as I'm typing. And now they're telling me that every time I drive and use my phone, I have to use a hands-free device. I tried a few, but none of them worked. In fact, there wasn't even one that drove the car at all. So as I message in the car, it's driving right off the road. And now a cop is in my face and yelling, buddy, what's the matter with you? I'm driving 50 miles per hour, looking down at my hands, trying to reply to something somebody said. I guess I ran the wrong direction through a one-way intersection, but how was I supposed to know the light was red? I know I ought to pay attention to my driving, but another instant message is arriving. When my iPhone beckons, I just gotta reply. I can't wait 10 seconds, so I'll probably die in the auto wreck that happens next. I just gotta send a text. I just gotta send a text, that's all. You know, sometimes you just gotta send a text. I just gotta send a text. All right. I'm assuming you're applauding at home, so we'll just go with that. Randy Porter at the piano, an amazing solo. Yeah. I always wondered, there's a line in there, we'll bring Becky up here in just a second, but there's that one line, and I never know if anybody gets this line, because it's kind of snuck in there, about driving the wrong way down a one-way street, and you ran a red light, but how were you supposed to know the light was red? Like, nobody thinks about that, but it's because the light is facing the other way. I just wanted to point that out to you in case you missed that little detail. You know, we song crafters, we put every little thought into these details.
You sound like you've actually done this particular thing.
Well, I did go out and do some field tests. No, I didn't. So, Becky, you want to come sing? Okay.
Turn it over.
That's turnover take. We got to get to the duet stuff. One of my very, 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 I'm going to put 4 or 5 more varies in there. You can just add those manually. Things to do is to come up here and not just sing next to Becky and back her up, but to sing with Becky Kilgore. It's an honor. It's a thrill. She's one of my very favorite singers ever. And so we have a couple of duets we're going to present for you now. And the first one is Rough Ridin' from, was it Nat King Cole who sang this? I know that Ella Fitzgerald was involved and whatever, but
I never heard
like the original.
Nat King Cole's do it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Who did the original record?
I don't know.
We don't even know.
Lady
It's such a cool old song that we have no idea who sang it.
Yep.
But we are, so here we go.
Okay.
Oh, let me go to brush this though, because.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Ready?
I'm ready.
1, 2, Got a problem on my mind because you say we're through, baby. You are giving me rough riding, and you know it's making me blue. Were you fooling me when you said that you love me so, baby? No, it's gonna be rough riding, babe. I'll never let you go. I'll never forget you, darling. Let's don't treat me this way. I'll never forget you, darling. Let's not call it a day. Give me just another chance to prove that I love you, baby. Then there'll be no more rough riding, baby. Never, never again.
Shoo ba boo ba da ba doo dee doo 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 da bo dee da. Ba da boo ba doo ba 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 de bo boo ba da ba da 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 doo ba boo ba doo ba doo be doo ba doo doo da. Fo ba doo ba dee fo ba boo ba ba doo ba ba doo ba da doo ba da boo ba da. Bo fa doo ba ba boo ba ba boo ba da ba ba boo ba ba boo doo be ba doo 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 da doo doo dee da doo doo doo. Got a problem on my mind because you say we're through, baby. You are giving me rough riding, and you know it's making me blue. Were you fooling me when you said that you love me so, baby? Though it's giving me rough riding, babe, I'll never let you go. I'll never forget you, darling. Please don't treat me this way. I'll never forget you, darling. Let's not call it a day. Give me just another chance to prove that I love you, baby. Then there'll be no more rough riding, baby. Never, ever again. Then there'll be no more rough riding, baby. Never, ever again. Shoo-ba-doo-ba-doo, you do, you do, da ba We're trading articulations. So one of my very favorite things is not just to sing. Well, I was trying to think of something that Becky and I could do together that would put a couple of songs next to each other, but still be singing together. And there's a very, very favorite tune of mine by Livingston and Evans called May I Come In? And I just adore it. I learned it when I was playing drums for the great Page Cavanaugh. And for those of you students who are jazz students, Google Page Cavanaugh, and you can find out. He was a great singer, and he knew every tune in the world during his era. But anyway, this is a great tune, lesser known of the Livingston and Evans tunes. What did they do? When Sunny Gets Blue, or anyway, I'm being an idiot. But in any case, we're going to do that. And then I wanted to have another song to follow it for Rebecca to sing. And so I came up with another tune. And you can listen to it and see if you think they go together well. And we'll just jump right on that, 1, 2, 3. Speaking of the devil, I'm standing at your door. May I come in? Feeling like a lost and lonely land. May I come in? Don't slam the door until you've heard my story. Please let me stay so I can say that I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that I ran off lost my mind with someone new. Carelessly I left my heart behind. It's still with you, but what can I do? I'm standing on your welcome mat, but the welcome's wearing thin. Speaking of the silly fool I've been, may I come in? Please, baby.
Now you say you're lonely. You cried the long night through. Well, you can cry me a river. Cry me a river. 'Cause I cried a river over you. You're sorry for being so untrue. Well, you can cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river over you. You drove me, nearly drove me out of my head, while you never shed a tear. Remember, I remember all that you said. Told me love was to love me, and told me you were through with me, and now you say you love me. Well, just to prove that you do, come on and cry me a river. Cry me a river, 'cause I cried a river over you.
I'm standing on your welcome mat, but the welcome's wearing thin. Speaking of the silly fool I've been, may I
remember all that you said.
Come in.
Now you say you love me.
And the crowd goes wild.
The crowd goes wild. While we're between tunes, I'll just mention that it obviously would be silly for us to try to sell hard copy CDs to you now because you're not here.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that both me and Rebecca have albums that are out there and available. I just recently took the time, after a little while, to listen all the way through to the Rebecca Kilgore Trio Volume 1 album, which is just fantastic. It's so great, so listener-friendly. And by the way, a great play-along record for a drummer. Oh. It would be a terrific album for a drummer to just play along with but it's with Randy and Tom, and it's just a delicious album, so you should pick that up. And of course, my 2 CDs are out in the world. I Just Want to Get Paid, and also Texting and Driving. You can find it, of course, on all the digital places, but if you're interested in getting hard copies of those, you can find them on my website, which is davidtull.com. DAVIDTULL.com.
Mine is RebeccaKilgore.com. And thanks, Dave, for the endorsement.
Yeah. So, what are we up to?
Mine.
Oh, mine. Okay, let's
Oh,
do
really?
this.
Mine date pennies.
Okay. You want to introduce this tune?
Well, this is a Gershwin song, very old, and I don't know how many of these kind of songs he wrote. It's a duet where there's one melody and then there's another counter melody that goes with it. So, and I love it.
Let's do it.
It's called Mine.
He stole that style from you.
I was an influence on
Yeah.
Gershwin. Yeah.
One, a two, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Mine, love is mine, whether it's rain or storm or shine. Mine, you are mine. Never another Valentine. And I am yours. Tell me that I'm yours. Show me that smile my heart just adores. Mine, more than divine, to know that love like yours is mine.
The point they're making in this song is that they more than get along, and he is not ashamed to say she made him what he is today. It does a person good to see such happy domesticity. The way they're making love, you'd swear they're not a married pair. He says no matter what occurs, whatever he may have is hers. The point that she is making is whatever she may have is his. Mine, more than divine, to know that love like yours is mine. The point they're making in this song
love is mine.
is that they more than get along.
Whether it's rain
And he is not
or
ashamed
storm
to say
or
she
shine.
made him what he is today.
Mine.
It does a person
You
good
are
to see
all mine.
such happy domesticity.
Never another
The way they're making love, you'd swear
Valentine.
they're not a married pair.
And
He
I am
says
yours.
no matter what occurs,
Tell me that I'm yours.
whatever he may have is hers.
Show me that smile.
The point that she
My
is
heart
making
just
is
adores.
whatever she may have is his.
Mine,
More than divine.
to know that love like yours
is mine. Is mine. Is mine.
is ours. I just want to add that the first time I ever heard that was on a record that by Nancy King, the great Portland jazz vocalist, and
You're asking me? Jack Sheldon.
that's right, Jack Sheldon. They sing it together, and the name of the recording, the LP, is called First Date. And I don't know when it was recorded, but it's a gem. Anyway.
Great segue into the next tune, actually. Because it's called First Date.
Oh, that's right.
We should have used that before.
Oh, my God.
All this time, we've never thought of that.
We never thought.
Okay, well, this is probably the last
Oh,
song.
is this the one? Okay, so this is just.
I mean, unless there's an encore.
Oh, I don't
If
know.
the audience goes crazy,
Yeah.
how can you tell?
The Twitter sphere is blowing.
The Twitter, yeah. Well, let's do this, but this is probably the last tune, I think.
Yeah,
And then we'll just see. Oh yeah, and it's got the little bottom thing in the front, and then you just jump. So there's a tune on my first CD called "I Just Decided to Stay," and it's just a tale of a very conceited kind of fellow who gets invited on a date, and he's so full of himself, but he ends up falling in love at the end of the thing, and it's romantic. It's got a happy ending. So then between the first, that was on the I Just Want to Get Paid CD, and then between that one and the next CD, the texting one, I thought I was doing some things with Becky, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to write a counterline, not unlike what we just sang a minute ago, that tells the story from the woman's perspective of how the date went. And so that ended up on the Texting and Driving album, and so you get to hear my point of view, and you get to hear Becky's point of view, and then you get to hear them together, and a little rubato intro in the front, and this is called The Date. You asked me out to lunch at some romantic little nook. I said, my schedule's busy, so I'll have to check my book. I can fit you in this Thursday, so we'll do our little date. But I've only got an hour to spare, so please just don't be late. Appointments, clients, meetings, always somewhere else to dash. Then I had lunch with you and threw my date book in the trash. A 1, 2, 3, 4. I told you that my afternoon was tightly planned as we met for lunch one busy day. I planned to leave at 1, but when you touched my hand, I just decided to stay. We strolled the park as lovely as it's ever been, and I walked you home the long, long way. I thought we'd say goodbye, but when you asked me in, I just decided to stay. Time to do my other things was running low. It's amazing how the hours had flown. The clock said I should leave, but then my heart said no, 'cause it knew I'd do those other things all alone. We had a lovely dinner there by candlelight, and I fell in love along the way. I thought for sure that I'd be going home that night, but I decided when I was invited, I just decided to stay. Oh, lovely time.
I must have been crazy to ask him out. He uses lunch to tell me every amazing thing he's done. Does this guy ever take a breath? I have to tap him on the hand to let him know it's almost one. Oh, I got it. Can I start over? I must have been crazy to ask him out. He uses lunch to tell me every amazing thing he's done. Does this guy ever take a breath? I have to tap him on the hand to let him know it's almost one. He wants to stroll the park. Well, all right, I tried to angle us away, but we end up at my door. He's calmed a little. I suppose I ought to ask him in, but I hope he doesn't stay long, because the time to do my other things is running low. And soon I'll have to offer dinner. I wouldn't want that. I'm dropping hints, but he just won't get a clue. I even lie and say the power just went out in my flat. But now his tone is so sincere. There's a new look in his eye. Could he be falling for me? He's so much sweeter than before. I always thought he was cute. Well, maybe just for tonight, I'll just decide he can stay. I must have been crazy to ask him out. He uses lunch to tell me every amazing thing he's done. Does this guy
I thought we'd take it one, but when you touched my hand, I just decided to stay. We
need to stroll the park. Well, all right, I tried to angle us away, but we end up at my door. He's calmed a little. I suppose I ought to ask him in, but I hope he doesn't stay long, because the time to do my other things is running low.
It's amazing.
And soon I'll have to offer dinner. I wouldn't want that. I'm dropping hints, but he just won't get a clue. I even lie and say the power just went out in my flat.
We had a lovely dinner there by candlelight,
but now his tone is so sincere. There's a new look in his eye. Could he be calling for me? He's so much sweeter than before.
I just decided
I always thought
when
he
I
was cute.
invited.
Well, maybe just for tonight,
I just decided
he can stay.
All right, all right. Oh, I gotta put my headphones on.
Yeah.
I can do that.
I think we can have our special announcer join us.
My headphones are on.
Yes.
Hey,
Hello.
there you are.
Yes. First of all, for everybody out in streaming world and for everybody at the studio and everybody at PCC, I just want to, first of all, warmly thank the group for joining us tonight. It's sort of, as a fan of the group, I'm really, really excited to hear this group. So a little round of applause out there in virtual land. We really appreciate it. It's a real treat for me. My name is Jason Palmer. I'm the Department Chair of Music at Portland Community College. But I'm also a big fan of this group, and I've seen them come through Portland a couple times in the last 5-10 years or so. So we're really honored to have them here on the series, and also for Randy for hosting the group at his studio and streaming for us. It's really wonderful to hear the group. And as is usual for all of our Experience Music concerts, we're gonna end the concert by doing a little bit of audience Q&A. And as Dave mentioned earlier in the show, of course, we would rather be doing this in person, but as per COVID protocols and things for the college, we are keeping this remote for just a little bit longer. So I will be viewing the chat in the YouTube stream and picking out some questions. We've also received some questions on our website and just trying to get some information from the group because it's a great chance for PCC students and music students and staff and faculty to get a little bit of great information from the group. So first group, and by the way, can the band hear me okay? Everybody's okay out there?
Yeah, I can
Yes.
hear you.
Yes.
We've got you.
Fantastic.
We've got you. I see a hand in the back.
Yeah, exactly. I see I see a hand in. So actually, one of the first questions that I had was actually directed directly at Dave. I'm curious, Dave, and maybe you mentioned this earlier and I just missed it, but I'm curious if your first entry into music was through, especially jazz music, was through jazz voice or through drums. I'm just curious how that progression of the two together happened.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. No, I was a drummer first, but I was always singing. I mean, back when I was a little kid. So, but I never really took seriously singing. I didn't start singing until I got up into high school, and even then it was some scat singing and a little goofing around, but I was always really, truly just pursuing the drums. And I did a little bit of part vocal singing in college, and started working with some singers and learning a lot of tunes. But it really wasn't until I was a good, I don't know, maybe several years. We'll just say several. Tom, let's just go with several.
That always works for me.
Before I started having the courage to, I was like, hey, I think I could sing a tune. And I would sometimes on the third set on a gig, I'd go to the pianist and say, hey, listen, maybe on the third set I've got this little standard, that I'd like to do. And I started doing it a little bit. But yeah, so the singing was always there. But as a thing to do in public and perform, definitely it came later. And then the songwriting kind of came not long after that. All of those things were brewing at the same time, and they're all influenced by each other from the early days. But as a pursuit, I came up as an instrumentalist, as a drummer first.
Cool. Kind of a follow-up question, and this is actually a question directly from me, who, for those of you who know me out there, know that I'm a percussionist and drummer as well. I'm curious if you found that the singing element and focusing a little bit more on that and thinking about the way that lines fit over harmony and the way that words fit over melodies, if that affected your drumming in any ways. Did you find that your drumming changed as you started singing more seriously?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, so much. And I think that's an influence that was there from the beginning. As I came up and I was listening to more and more jazz, naturally I was listening to more and more vocalists as well. And whether I was consciously aware of wow, the way Sarah Vaughan just phrased that melody might change something that I'm doing at the drums, I was aware of how a drummer would react to what was going on around them in every aspect of the band, and the vocalist's phrasing and style definitely played a role in that. But then there are so many other aspects about getting involved as a vocalist that then you start really thinking about melodies. And really the big realization for me was when I realized that everything that I've always been doing at the drums was just a big melody anyway. It's different instruments all kind of combined. You've got the bass drum instrument, but it's really creating melodies. Every fill I do, every little thing that I goof around behind Randy Porter's solo, it's just a piece of melody. And so that realization was consciously arrived at as I was working as a singer more and started just realizing, and I'll always remember I was doing a gig. I was on the road with Chuck Mangione for 10 years, and I used to do a lot of drumming, of course, on that gig, but I was the vocalist on it as well. And there were places where I was scat singing, and there were places where I was doing drum solos. And there was this one night where I was scat singing, taking a solo, and I just sort of found my hands starting to follow what my voice was doing, you know, and I just thought, oh, I should do that. And so on the spur of the moment, at the risk of getting fired, I suppose, but I just went for it anyway. I just went out and just played the drums along with my voice and you know, and I just, like that realization happened right there in that club in what is it, the Dakota in Minneapolis. We were downstairs. Yeah, word got around. But in any case, you know, like, it was a big realization moment for me that the singing and the drumming are all they're all coming out of the same twisted brain, you know. So you just think of it that way.
That's what a cool answer, and a great bit of advice for any young drummers out there as well. So I appreciate that. I have kind of more of a general question here, and we got a couple of specific kind of music nerd questions as well. I have kind of a general question. This could go out to any member of the group. I don't know who all has microphones out there, but I'm kind of curious about the genesis of this group. I know that you all have worked off and on professionally with one another in various situations, but it seems like I started seeing this group kind of traveling through the Northwest, you know, once every year or every other year, maybe 6 or 8 years ago. I'm kind of curious how that came about. This can go to anybody.
It's sort of my fault.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, the camera to look at is that one.
Oh,
We're sort of nomadic.
yeah, it's sort of my fault. I've been down in L.A. playing some gigs and was staying at my friend Ron Jones's house up in Burbank. And Ron is a composer, and Ron had a big band rehearsal at the Union, at the LA Union. He said, hey, I got this rehearsal. You want to come with me? And I said, sure. So we went down there, and I hung and watched this rehearsal. And when we were leaving, Dave came out of the hall and was loading his drums, and we just happened to be passing by. And I was with Ron, and Ron said, hey, Tom, I want to introduce you to Dave Tull. And we got to talking, and that's sort of how it started. And I don't quite know. I guess we maybe exchanged information, and
Sure.
I said, let's try to figure out a way to do something, you know. And I don't remember if we worked with you, Becky, originally.
Well, Becky, come in. Nope. Yeah, and that's our camera to talk to the thousands out there.
So as I recall, you had Dave come as a guest to
The Jazz Festival
PCC.
It was Clackamas College.
Clackamas
I can tell you
Community
that.
College, yeah.
at the Jazz
And
Festival.
then there was a performance segment of it, and you hired me to sing.
And the pianist was Dave Frischberg that night.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. We had Dave. Yeah.
That was the one time I played with Dave.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
And he didn't sing. What was really wacky here, I was meeting you for the first time. I'm singing a couple of my funny songs, and I remember backstage saying, okay, David, listen, that doesn't work, that I'm singing funny songs and you're sitting. And he goes, no, man, this is... But anyway, that was the night I met you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've been working together. The three of us have been working together up prior to that
Yeah.
for quite a while. And then we thought, how cool would it be to, you know, sort of make this a band and do, you know, a couple tours a year. So that's what we did.
Cool. That's a thanks for that.
It was organic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I think it's a good anecdote for any students or musicians out there about how these things tend to happen, which is, you know, so much of it is about creating relationships and
Networking.
getting to know people and being open to ideas and, you know, how to get into the gigging scene or into the music world. It's a lot of times it's just being open to those opportunities. So that's a great bit of information.
Well, and if I may add a tiny little thing
Sure.
on the end of that at each of the stages along the way, there was a moment where one of us was doing something and wasn't expecting to meet the other one. And then the other person was like, wow, I want to talk to that person. Or I was like, wow, Becky's so great. I want to work with her or whatever. And if I was talking to students, I would say, just remember, you never know where that gig's going to be, so you have to be at 100% every single gig, because the person standing over in the corner might be the one who's going to be inspired by something you do and come over and offer you something, or they might not.
Right. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And you never know if somebody you're playing with on stage there might be somebody who's going to be a really important musical connection for you for the rest of your life.
So true.
And the other thing is we all know common people, but we all know different circles of people. So we all had parts. We really toured up and down, California and Oregon, Washington, Canada. Yeah, and we all knew people, so we all took part in getting gigs for the band.
Yeah. Like I know Tom kind of approached me about the thought of bringing the group into PCC. So that was another example of that is Tom and I have a relationship, so that was a natural fit. So we have a kind of a nerdy question here. Somebody's asking about the snare drum and what kind it is and the wood hoops on it. I'm curious if Dave, or I think actually Randy, might be able to share a little bit about the drum.
Well, I can tell you, this is Randy's drum set, but the funny thing about it, with the exception of the wood snare drum, which I don't have, but this drum set is the only other known example of the exact drum set that I have, that I use. The same color, the same year, the same everything.
I got it for you.
You got it?
Yeah.
But as for the snare drum, this is, am I right? You can tell me, this is the one that they came out with for Elvin Jones, right?
No, it's funny you say that, though, because when I was in a position to get this drum set, I wanted the Elvin Jones snare drum, which is like a half-inch even deeper than this. And the wait was like 2 years, and I was way too impatient. They said they didn't know when it was in production, when it was going to be, some crazy amount of time. It might have been 2 months, but I was impatient. And this one was ready to go, and this is the Anton Fig model.
Oh, it's a great sounding drum, though.
Yeah, there was a couple of comments out there in YouTube land about the sound of the snare drum, and because it sounds great, and of course
Well, it's nice and bright.
Dave's playing has a lot to do with that as well. Okay, I think we have time maybe for one more question. We're starting to run out of time here a little bit. I don't want to take advantage of the musicians and their schedules. I know they're busy with everything going on, but we do have a question about singing the complicated kind of swing bebop vocal lines against one another when we have these duets between Rebecca and Dave. Wondering how you folks go about preparing that and rehearsing that and getting that together, because it seems like it would be quite difficult to get that really to execute well.
Well, it just takes practice and learning the line. And then what happens, in my experience, is that you have this harmony line or counter melody, and it becomes the melody in my head. So it's not like I'm listening to what Dave's doing, although it's a beautiful thing. It's like singing a cantata or a Bach fugue or something. So it's a thing of beauty.
I did a gig once where a bebop song was called, and the singer who was singing it, the singer didn't call the tune, but was ready to, I know that song. The entire time it was the alto part to a full arrangement, and we were
Singing
playing
the
this
lower
song. It was
part.
like, whoa, that is weird. Everything fit, but it was because
Oh, that's so funny.
she had learned it that way, and
Well, and I can say that I mean, of course, I have a slight advantage on the date because I wrote it, and so I took the time. I knew what all the intervals and stuff were supposed to be, but definitely for me, like on one of the other ones, anytime that I'm doing a duet thing, and of course it's been with Becky, it's been so great, but my mind is aware of the little moments where we hit an interval together and how it fits into the tonality that's happening at that moment. So it's you can't just do it where you've learned your line intervallically and in time, and you just sort of are in your own world. You're singing your line, you have to know it, but then you also are always referencing the other person and where the places are where you're like, oh yeah, I want to make sure and really get underneath her there. And I'm maybe even aware consciously, I'm singing the third, she's got the seventh, so I kind of know where it fits into the tonality. All of that ends up being part of your calculation along there.
You might want to mention about the one you guys learned, the one you guys learned in the car on the way to the gig in Phoenix.
Well, that was the date. Yeah. Well, that's just a testament to what an amazing vocalist Rebecca Kilgore is, because naturally I knew all the parts of the date because because I wrote it. And when we were first getting it together, I sent it to Becky with a little mock-up of me singing her line, I must do up real high.
Yeah.
And but we didn't really have any time to rehearse it. You know, we were playing at the Nash in Phoenix, and we got together. We all came in the afternoon before the gig, and we thought, well, maybe we'll run it at sound check, really. And we got in the car, and I said, okay, well, maybe when we get down there, if Randy gets there soon enough, or I can't remember if you were on that gig. I think maybe you couldn't make it. But in any case, when the pianist, well, we'll have a chance to run it. And Becky said, well, why don't we just do it here in the car? Which, given if it was a musical reference, that made sense. So I said, sure. So we figured out the key, and while we were driving, we just sang the thing all the way through. And I was like, great, you've got it. But a lot of singers can't do that. She had done her homework and walked in the door ready to go. It was really amazing.
That's great.
By the way, I do have a teeny little anecdote. I know we're short of time, but you were talking about that singer who sang the alto part. We were doing auditions for the LA Jazz Society's student program called the Bill Green Mentorship Program. And all these horn players are coming in, and they're kids, you know, and we treat them great. They're just supposed to have fun. But this one trombone player came in, and they said, well, what do you want to play for your audition? And he said he wanted to do he wanted to do In the Mood, yeah. And we were all kind of thinking for trombone, you know, an A flat trying to do that. Well, okay, great, let's do it. So there was a little rhythm section, and we counted it off, and he went, do-ah, 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 you know. And all of us were sitting in the room trying not to laugh because this kid was playing his part. Dut, 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 do-ah.
That's great. We've all been there at least once in our life, right? You know. Well, I really want to give some profound thanks to the group for being here, for being willing to participate in a streaming concert. I know that it's something we did a lot the last 18 months or so, but we're starting to move away from that. So I appreciate the group being willing to do that. I want to thank Randy Porter for hosting us here at the streaming concert, doing all that extra work. It's a lot of hustle on his end. I also want to give a shout out to PCC Music's new tech person, Courtney Danley, who is somewhere off site making sure that everything's running and hitting the stream correctly and taking care of all that technical business. So again, my name is Jason Palmer. I'm the department chair for music at PCC. And thank you all for being here. We have just a quick reminder. We do have another concert next week with, I'm double checking the date as I look here.
By the way, while you look that up, I teach at PCC too. But
oh my gosh.
But it's Pasadena City College, and we call it PCC.
That's hilarious.
South Pasadena College.
No, that's actual Pasadena, yeah.
So our concert next week, just a quick reminder for those of you who are fans of Brazilian music, Danilo Brito, the great mandolin player, will be here streaming, actually not here, but streaming live from Brazil.
Wow.
At 5 p.m. next week. If you need some information about that, you can check the Experience Music website. So don't forget about that. And then on November 30th, we have Damien Erskine's trio here with Damien Erskine, Greg Goebel, and the great Charlie Doggett playing drums. So thank you so much for our audience. Thank you so much to the band. And I really hope everybody has a great night. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jason.